It's Wednesday. Typically, we record these on Tuesday, but we're recording a Wednesday edition of the Five Tool Baseball Podcast, episode 43. I'm Dustin McComas, joined once again by Drew Bishop, and we're recording Wednesday because we've been out. We've been out seeing some high school scrimmages. The season is not officially underway because these games don't count. They won't play the ones that count for about another couple weeks until they get into those first preseason tournament type things. But that doesn't mean there's not a bunch of teams playing, a bunch of players playing, and a bunch of performances going on. Some pretty loud pitching performances around the state of Texas last night across various regions. But Drew, you were at Prosper in Coppell. I was down in Cy-Fair area again. After seeing Tomball Memorial and Cy Ranch on Monday, I was back down in the Cy-Fair area last night seeing College Station and Cy-Fair. So feels good to get back out there. I think that you're probably a little more used to the high school studying than I am. I'm getting used to, getting try to get in touch with the coaches and get the rosters. I mean, I enjoy going to scrimmages. I do not enjoy scrimmages with no jersey numbers. It's tough. Just requires a little background work behind the scenes. But how did it feel to get out there? I mean, it seems like you got entertained to some pretty good performances. But how did it feel getting back out to a high school field to see a high school scrimmage? I know we saw a bunch of games in the summer, but the high school stuff is a little bit different.
Yeah, it was good. We, there was 2 times in my career at Texas where we were down a coach, so I was able to get out on the road, but those were both during the summer. So I was at more of the summer type stuff. So, it's fun getting out and seeing some of the high school stuff. It's just a different feel. There's a different level of intensity a lot of the time. A lot of times the quote unquote better or more big name players stick out a little bit more just because, they're playing with kids that are, sometimes 3 years younger than them. Yeah. The physicality sticks out a little bit, but man, like there were some good bodies, some really good arms, a lot of, good baseball for this time of the season out in Prosper. I mean, have you ever been to Prosper?
I have not, no, but it's turned into quite the little destination for, I say little, I don't know how big it is, but it just seems like they've got guys like all the time now. Like, it just seems like a wave of talent comes out of that high school every year.
Yeah, it is massive. That area is exploded because, it's out north on the tollway. And when I was at Trinity Christian until high school, and back then there was a few kids that were from Frisco, and Frisco was basically the end of the tollway back then. Mm-hmm. Now Frisco is just like another spot on the way heading out to Prosper, but that area is incredible. The field was great. Ballpark is set up nice, good area to get back and scout and watch games and, get some good camera stuff. But the hospitality from the Prosper coaches was awesome. Really appreciate guys like Coach Holder and Coach Howard from Coppell, getting on the phone and spending some time because, without some of that information, it'd be a lot harder to do our job. And I know we and other scouts and college coaches appreciate that information, and it helps the program. Helps understand what you're looking for, and probably spend a little bit less time on the back end annoying them, asking about certain guys if you have an idea what you're looking for going in. But it's been great. Looking forward to getting out, going to a couple more scrimmages this upcoming weekend. But yeah, last night there were some big name guys, and for this point in the year, the stuff was pretty impressive. Go ahead.
I was going to say that the scrimmage is like, it's difficult because you have to keep the context of this is like the first outing for like everybody. I was talking to Jarrett Curtis's father Monday, and with the ice storm and everything, like they haven't really been able to practice much. So you kind of have to keep that context in mind. Yeah. But it looked like for you, Davenport looked like he really threw the ball well. A guy that we were anxious to see because we hadn't seen him in the fall. And then TJ Pompey as well, who I think we both really like as an infielder, and he got on the mound and looked like some pretty lively stuff. But yeah, I always kind of keep in the back of my head, like, hey, like, yeah, it's one thing to be raring to go and getting out there and firing, as close to 100% as you can as these guys are building up, but also too, you got to kind of keep in mind that this is the first for pretty much everybody. These guys are probably going to look way different in 4 or 5 weeks, but if they're already looking like some of the guys you saw last night already, makes you even more excited about what things are going to look like in a month once they start getting into district play.
Yeah, well, it's kind of along a similar note. When I was talking to Coach Howard, that they've had a hard time getting they're redoing their turf, and it's not supposed to be ready till the end of this week. So they haven't had a whole lot of live at bats. And then to come out of the gate facing Lucas Davenport, who was up to 93,
that's tough.
That's not ideal. But yeah, Lucas looked good. Ball was coming out pretty good. Not straight. It had a little bit of heavy action to it, but yeah, I mean, it's easy to see with that guy that there's a lot more there too. We've talked countless times about these big balls of clay that Nate Yeski's accumulating for his A&M classes down there, and Lucas is no exception to that. He was really impressive, struck out 4 in 2 innings. Really competing, throwing strikes, a lot of fastballs. This is one thing I liked about last night. There was a lot of fastballs thrown. And hopefully that stays the same because, sometimes in some of these games, they get a little bit too breaking ball happy. But another big arm that we saw is 2025 Luke Billings. It sounds like from him, it's going to be, what do you want to do? Do you want to pitch? Do you want to hit? But he was up to 88 with a big time changeup, throw some right on right changes, and spin was right. Arm action was good. Ball exploded out of his hands, as you could see on some of the videos that we posted, but he was impressive. And then Pompey threw a slider that looked like a big league closer last night. I mean, it was nasty. I mean, Easton Carmichael had a really good at bat in him, and then he ended up striking him out. But I don't know, there were too many people at very many levels that were going to hit that slider that he struck out on last night. But yeah, TJ, I mean, everyone, he knows what he can do in the field, but man, he's got a future on the mound if he wants it. He was really impressive. The ball's not straight. We had him 89, 92, just attacked and broke off a couple nasty breaking balls, but he was good. Tanner Sever is a guy that I saw some this summer. He has changed his body, or, added some, I shouldn't say changed his body, but added some weight to his frame. He looked good playing over at third base last night. Knows what he's doing. It's hard to find somebody that you talk to about that kid that doesn't really like him and his work ethic and what he brings to the team. 2024 shortstop Michael Russell, believe he plays for the Sticks in the summer, but he's a guy that, when you throw Pompey on the mound, you're not going to be falling off too far defensively. But he looked good, had a couple good ABs. On the Prosper side of things, we've talked about Easton Carmichael coming off of that big showcase event this weekend. PBR looked like he ran a 6.6. I mean, he's physical, got a great presence behind the mound. They had a kid named Austin Wallace committed to North Central, hit a home run over Prosper. They've got their own version of the Big Green Monster. I think it's like 285 down the line, but they have a monster left field wall. But he hit it over. Got a couple other guys on the infield for them, a 23 and a 24 infielder that can really play. I mean, Prosper's loaded. I mean, there's no, didn't even throw Dane Burns, who recently committed to Mississippi State. I think it was last week or maybe the week before, but
yeah,
I mean, they are big time loaded. The shortstop is Jacob Nelson, second baseman Cole Giametta is 24, Nelson's 23, but I think those kids are going to have a chance to play at the next level too. Just, I think that's what you see at some of these really big schools is they have the big name players, but they also have a lot of like talented depth too
Yeah.
that'll be expected to play at that next level, and just a lot of good baseball in the area as we continue to see and harp on.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm always a sucker for those infielders when they get on the mound, because it's just that it's a different athleticism and arm action than you typically see. So I mean, Pompey looks like he's going to be him and Billings both, I think, are going to be big time two-way guys. Obviously Billings is a 25. I mean, he's got a long way before he's ever even a senior, but he's already looking like a guy that's big time on the talent scale as well. But yeah, Prosper, yeah, that green monster, it's fun to watch those clips and stuff like that, because it looks like a pretty cool place to catch a game. But I felt like it was like A&M day around the state in terms of the arms. Like,
Yeah.
you see in Davenport, me seeing Blake Binder up. I saw Brandon Arvidsson from Dripping Springs was kind enough to tag me in a video from his outing last night. Looked like his breaking ball is kind of ticking up there.
Yeah.
Excited to see him pretty soon here before they get going in district play. But yeah, last night I was down at College Station in Cy-Fair, saw Blake Binder up. Was 86 to 89 mostly, touched 90 once, touched 91 once. Great looking kid physically. I mean, athletic, clean delivery, clean arm. I mean, those are things you don't typically see from a 6'6" guy. Is that sort of athleticism, that sort of delivery, that sort of arm path and finishing things like that. And I give Cy-Fair a lot of credit, man. I'm trying to connect with their coach to get some names with some notes in my book. I was just bugging Coach Morris at Tomball Memorial, who was kind enough to really help me out, and Chris Litton at College Station, kind enough to send me a roster and their pitching beforehand. But Cy-Fair, man, I gotta get some names on a couple of these guys, because they're lefties at the top of the order, super competitive. It's got in there first live at bats against somebody else, man, and they were jumping on some fastballs from Binder up, who was clearly settling in first outing, trying to get things going. But once he got to his breaking stuff, especially against right-handers, he threw a slider and a curveball. He's kind of thrown the slider more in the past, but I thought it was pretty interesting. He took some off and changed the shape a little bit to throw a breaking ball, and right-handers had a big problem with his breaking stuff. But lefty saw his fastball well, put the ball in play hard. I left thinking that Cy-Fair team is got a chance to really compete well in that district. I mean, that district is just so loaded. Like, it's crazy. I was driving to Cy Ranch. I hadn't gone to a game actually at Cy Ranch. I'd seen him in the playoffs. I went and saw Ty Madden a few years ago. And it's like you turn left to go on Cy Ranch, and you could turn right, and it's like Bridgeland Parkway. And it's like, oh, Bridgeland's like right over there. It's like the talent in that area is just like Cy-Fair, Cy Ranch, like Cy Lakes. Oh yeah, Bridgeland's right there. It's pretty wild. It's good for scouts though. I bumped into a couple watching Binder up, and they were able to zoom on over to a place nearby and see another arm throw later in the day. So it's a good setting for that. But Binder up, the breaking stuff I thought really played well. Fastball, I think that he's going to throw harder in district play. I mean, this is a guy that we've seen throw harder in the summer. But it's, again, with scrimmages, a lot of times these guys are building up to get ready for the season. They're not emptying the tank. They're all on pitch counts. They're all trying to get in work and things like that. So Elko, I think that's a guy that's probably going to end up playing shortstop for them, but he was a little bit dinged up. But a guy that did play some shortstop for College Station, 2024, Alex De Leon, I think he's got a chance to be a really good player. He also caught a little bit as well, played some third base. I think they're kind of tinkering with who they want to catch, how they want to kind of position their infield when Elko comes back in his full strength. And how they want to handle that. But De Leon, man, good looking kid. He's physical, strong lower half. He's got some quickness to him. I like the swing. I think he's got a chance to develop into a guy that's probably going to be on that D1 radar. But College Station's got some other arms that didn't throw last night. Luke Stewart, who's coming off of an injury, McNeese State, signee, and then Rylan. Oh man, of course I get the name that I don't know how to pronounce.
Urbanzik. Come on.
Urbanzik. Is that, wow? How did you know that?
Yeah.
Does he have a brother that you know or something like that? Or have you studied up on this already?
I think we had him at camp, but that's
Okay.
pretty. That's, I mean,
Well, I know how to spell it.
If you're a linguist,
Urbanczzyk, so I can spell it no problem.
Okay.
I heard that he's been up to 92 recently. Coming off of, it's fascinating. Coming off of the not a full Tommy John. I guess for lack of a better word, kind of that repair that we're kind of see happening more often. A couple of University of Texas guys had that and came back pretty quick. So I think he's only 7 or 8 months removed from that procedure. And Jax Traeger, a TCU signee, had the same thing. So didn't get to see those two arms, but I think those are going to be guys that they expect some big things from. But College Station's a talented group. You know, it's kind of a classic scrimmage thing, though. You get into the 7th and 8th inning and balls getting kicked around a little bit, and it's just kind of chaos as guys are playing different positions. You're kind of getting to your depth a little more as well. But there is a time about the 5th inning, one of the assistant coaches from College Station had to huddle the guys up and kind of light them up a little bit. Guy didn't run out a ground ball that the second baseman booted and eventually made the play because the guy didn't run out the ground ball. I mean, that's the sort of thing I write down, and I wasn't surprised to see one of the assistant coaches kind of light those guys up right away. But that's just kind of stuff you see sometimes in scrimmages. But for Binderup, the breaking stuff really flashed. I'll be curious to see as he builds up what the fastball looks like. Showed a couple of changeups. It's interesting field, kind of got that late fade to it. I think he only threw 3 of them, all to left-handers, but I think it's something that he's going to gain the feel for, and he can at least kind of dream on a little bit. But great looking kid physically. I was joking with Aaron Cunningham from Hunter Pence was down there to see some of his guys, and I was like, man, I think I saw y'all play 10 times, and I never saw Blake pitch. It was just always, I just kind of never caught it. And I was really interested to see him pitch. And you mentioned the ball of clay. I mean, that is a ball of clay that I think Texas A&M is going to be thrilled to get on campus and work with him.
Yeah, I mean, long athletes with a lot of projectable upside that are already good. Like they're not
with
projects.
Clean arms. Like you don't typically see the clean arm, clean delivery type thing. You usually see those guys like, okay, we got to kind of tinker with this on the delivery and help the arm path here. And you don't typically get those big, tall, long athletes with the clean stuff to go with it as well. I got to imagine Nate Yeske is fired up. And Davenport, him, Arvidsson, I mean, a lot of the A&M guys all over the place. And certainly they've got a lot of reasons to be excited about their 22 class.
Yeah. Well, one thing too, that stuck out to me, I mean, I just kind of driving around or making my way through town to get over to the ballpark yesterday, like the facilities, I mean, it felt like a college campus. That Prosper like area is ridiculous. But one of the things I love the most, like they had a cool little setup. They had pitchers back behind home plate. They had a setup, like they had cameras going, radars going, computer programs going. So they were all in. Yeah. It was fun. We were enjoying talking to some of the pitchers back there, because they had some understanding of what spin rate is and stuff like that. So it was fun to see, but they were all in, and but it was good. It was, facilities were great. Looking forward to getting out to some of these other ballparks I haven't been to, but I think this week I'm going to go over and see Heath play Plano. Plano's got a 23 lefty, Bade, that looks good against Rockwall this past, or I guess Monday. But I want to see him throw, see some of those arms for Heath. Jet, obviously, some eyes on Caleb Hooper, but going to see them. And then I think, not totally sure on where I'm going to end up on Saturday, but a couple options and see who's pitching and go from there.
Yeah. One of the bummers about Tuesdays is that it was like every great pitcher threw on. It's like, okay, where do I go? Like I told myself, like, and for us, we try to hit as much talent in one setting as we can. It's just kind of, you got one stone, kill as many birds as you can in each time, right? Because you can't be everywhere. So I knew I was going to have some FOMO missing Cole Phillips, but
yeah.
It sounds like, we had a very, very educated hunch that he was going to throw extremely hard, just from some of the stuff we've been seeing and hearing and stuff like that. And I saw that picture that Bernie High School tweeted out with all the scouts there. And I kind of looking at that photo and I was like, how would I have fit in there anywhere? It sounds like he delivered with a lot of scouting heat and attendance. There's been some mentions that 99 miles an hour happened over his 2 innings. So I knew I was going to have some FOMO about that. And the FOMO was realized as I was kind of getting some tidbits from behind the scenes about how he threw. But that's probably the loudest performance of the state so far. And now I'm looking at my list and I'm like, okay, when can I see him as soon as possible? And it kind of works with everything else that's going on. So the fortunate thing about being in Austin is that's not too far of a drive for me. So it's kind of like, hey, I can, I've got all season to see him. But yeah, that sounds like it's a lot of fun. You come out of the gates throwing that hard in a scrimmage. And we saw the photos of the work he's done in the weight room and stuff like that. And he had a physicality and stuff, man. And every year in Texas, what do we say? There's an arm that takes a jump. And I wrote a story about it at 5-tool, kind of the guys that could make that leap. And it sounds like he's in pole position doing that. But even like Brandon Arvidsson, looking at the way he threw the ball last night, he could be in that mix as well. But yeah, that sounded like quite the party. But I was also down at Cy Ranch on Monday for Tomball Memorial and Cy Ranch, and getting a look at Jarrett Curtis and that Tomball Memorial team. Curtis was, I felt good. I've seen him so many times. We bumped him up to number 3 in the rankings. Went 1 for 2 at the walk and a single, stole a couple bags. Actually had a caught stealing once. Nice play by the Cy Ranch catcher there to gun him down at third base. Accurate arm from center field. I think his arm's got a chance to keep kind of ticking up a little bit, to play a little bit better in center field. But interesting guy too, Zach Fields, who I noted in the summer. He's a senior at Tomball Memorial. I believe he just committed to Texas Southern and signed with them during the recent signing day. Outfielder, very physical. I mean, he was physical in the summer. First team all district receiver for Tomball Memorial in football. He's gotten more physical. I mean, he's really filled out. Great looking kid. Outfield first, but man, he got on the mound and he's very, very, very new to pitching. You can see that, trying to change the delivery in the slot sometimes to create some run and things like that. But he came out and he bumped 92, and I was not expecting that. So Texas Southern might have a two-way guy on their hands, and exchanging some messages with Coach Morris at Tomball Memorial. They're trying to kind of see if he can be a back-end guy for them. And again, he was kind of all over the place control-wise, but there's a lot of arm strength there, a lot of athleticism, a lot of physicality. I'll be curious to see if he can kind of turn into a weapon for that Tomball Memorial team. But both those teams have a lot of veterans, a lot of solid veterans. Charlie Ferris, who just was a preferred walk-on commitment for Texas football, is going to be the ace of that Cy Ranch staff. He was 84 to 87, threw strikes, competed well. I actually really liked him as a hitter. I'd seen him pitch in the summer, but he got into the batter's box and was facing Brian Paniton, who was throwing for Tomball Memorial, Texas State signee, one of my favorite pitchers in that class. A lot of control, and he was typical Brian Paniton. But he got ahead 0-2 on Charlie Ferris and snapped off a pretty solid breaking ball, and Ferris lined it to the gap for a double, hit a really hard line drive later in the game for a single. Takes some really aggressive hacks, but knows how to kind of cut down the swing. And I think he's going to really hit for that Cy Ranch team. They were missing Christian Salazar, the Rice signee, kind of tweaked the back, but he said that he'll be fine for the tournament play and stuff like that. Tobias Motley flashed a little bit at shortstop with Rice. The Rice commitment there in the 2023 class, I think he's going to be a key player for them. But both those teams should really compete to potentially win their district. I think they've got a lot of nice pieces there.
Yeah. Well, where'd you eat?
I nowhere, unfortunately. I'm getting used to timing this all up. So the Tomball Memorial Cy Ranch scrimmage was at 4, and the College Station Cy Fair one was at 4:30. So kind of a unique time, and I ended up just getting on the road and getting back to Austin as fast as possible. So no eating. I didn't plan that very well. I actually got, I had to find my coffee before the Tomball Memorial one, and I always get suckered into like, okay, I'm gonna stop at the Starbucks. I try to find a local place always. The local place I found was closed. I was like, okay, strike one. I just gotta run out of time, gotta find the Starbucks real quick. It was one of the Starbucks inside Target. So I'm like looking around, like it says it's in the parking lot. Where is it at? And it's like you look in the fine print inside Target. I was like, oh man, gotta run in Target to get that. But yeah, I didn't plan very well. I'm still getting used to the whole planning aspect with this, and kind of hammering things out. It'll be much better when there are actual games and after actual district schedule where there's 6 and 7 p.m. starts. Okay, you can either eat before, eat later, or whatever. But kind of a weird time. So just loaded up on my snack mix, and I do have my place in Magnolia. There's a truck stop with a self-serve Dunkin' Donuts coffee. And I always stop there and get my coffee before I head back home. But me and 290 spend a lot of quality time together the last 2 days.
All right. So I stopped on my way up the tollway. I stopped at Legacy West and went to the Frisco, I guess the Legacy Hall is what it's called. It's like a big like food court.
Oh, nice.
In this outdoor mall. Yeah, I had a piece of pizza from the Italian Job. It was okay.
The Italian Job. Okay, named after the movie. Interesting.
Yeah, it was okay.
It wasn't Instagram worthy?
No,
it wasn't hashtag 5 Tool Foodies worthy.
Yeah, no, it was not. There was some, I didn't do enough walking around before I made my decision. There was a place that had like Wagyu sliders that I think I might go that route if I go out there again, but there's definitely some options at Legacy Hall. But in that, it's kind of like the Domain in Austin, like an outdoor mall type area, but they had a Tommy Bahama's restaurant. There's a Mexican place that we've eaten called Macero that's good. I almost went to I just almost just bit the bullet and went to Shake Shack, but I didn't want to just be like passed out in the stands, just in a food coma for the first scrimmage.
Yeah, you've got to keep that in mind when you're making the decisions. Like you can't load up and then you're just a wreck. Like as you're kind of, taking notes and taking video and running all over the field and everything else. Like it's you got to make wise food decisions, or else you're gonna pay for it in an hour or two.
Yeah,
you got to drive afterwards. Like that's
yeah. We got some good feedback from, it sounds like there's a couple good concession stands.
Yes.
Copper's Cove, Colleyville Heritage. What's your go-to concession stand food at, just a normal concession stand or at a big league park? What is it?
Nachos. And I don't know why, but I strangely really enjoy like the cheese taste. Like it's not queso. It's just like cheese sauce.
Okay, so do you like it like the cheese like already poured on the chips, or do you want to control the amount of cheese and get the little dipping cup?
That's a good question. It's less messy to do it on your own, but I actually prefer it poured already, because I feel like you kind of get more bang for the buck that way. And plus you get to some big league parks, you can get all sorts of crazy stuff on there. I just kind of typically stick to the cheese and jalapenos, and then if you've got like some chili type thing or salsa or whatever. But some of these big league parks, you can get like all sorts of
brisket
and pulled pork and beef and chicken and all this stuff. But yeah, I'm definitely nachos. Like, don't get me wrong, I enjoy a nice ballpark hot dog, but I'm taking nachos 10 out of 10 over hot dogs, even though the latter is definitely easier and quicker to eat than the former. So Yeah, something about like the cheese sauce and those types of jalapenos. I forget the specific type of jalapenos because they're not like the traditional fresh. Like we grow jalapenos in our backyard because I love them. I put them on everything. It's not that taste. It's that different, almost kind of like sour hint of sour taste with the jalapenos. I forget there's a name for them, but it escapes me right now. But the ones you can go to the store and kind of find, bottled up or whatever. But yeah, I'm nachos all the way.
Okay. I'm more of a hot dog. I can't.
How many hot dogs though? How many like, so if Drew rolls into the dollar dog night, how many are we talking?
I mean, I've done double digits before. I mean, yeah, but that's the problem is that now, like a lot of places that would cost like
that cost you
$75. Yeah,
it costs you.
But dollar hot dog night.
Yeah, dollar hot dog night is they're not expecting people like you to roll in there because not only is it dollar dog night, but you're not crushing the beers with it either. So you're the exact person that they don't want to see come up to order the dollar hot dogs. They want to see idiots like me that think, okay, yeah, I'll buy 3 of the $17 12-ounce Miller Lights to have with my 10 hot dogs, and you're still getting $50 out of me.
It's always like after that last bite, it's like the guy that's like swinging at the ball in the dirt that's thinking like, don't swing. That's what I do as soon as I'm done eating the hot dogs. It's just like, why did I do that? They're not that good. But it's just the thing. The only problem I have with dollar hot dog night is the line.
Yes,
I don't want to be in line
because everybody takes the kids to that sort of thing because it's like, okay, I can feed the kids for cheap. We can get them out of the house and kind of do something different. But yeah, it's one of those ones you got to time that to where like you either got to be early or you got to be willing to miss like innings of whatever game you're watching. Which, I mean, I guess if you go to a Rangers game, you probably start tuning out about the 5th inning when they're getting beat. But that you can go get some
uncalled for. That's uncalled for.
Actually,
we have Jack Leiter.
They're probably going to be like a 75 win team this year. So
okay,
they'll have some moments.
Is this going to be our poll question?
Yes, nachos or hot dogs.
We got to get an other in there.
Write-in vote
to get some write-ins.
But don't get crazy and write. Hey, I went to the Mariners game and I had like fried like grasshoppers, and I'm going to write that in. Like, I mean, that is a thing at Mariners games.
Okay, all right. So the write-in options have to come from the Rangers or Astros.
Yes,
ballpark.
They have to be standard. Like, and also too, like, don't say, "Oh, I'll go to Minute Maid and I order Torchies." Like, okay, yeah, cool. Like, we get it. Torchies is good.
But say that.
It's gotta be like standard ballpark food. Like, okay. Not the awesome restaurant that's in the stadium type thing. But I forgot to mention too. I've got a couple of kids from Cypress Ranch that I'm gonna mention once I actually get around to off the road and writing up some notes from this week. But there's a couple of unsigned seniors there. Then I think that coaches kind of at the D2 level should probably get some eyes on, uncommitted guys that I think are going to play a part for Cypress Ranch. I was talking to Coach Cephas. They got a lot of really good catching depth, and more so than like I saw a lot of summer teams that didn't have the catching depth that these guys had. And of course, you can only play a catcher a game. Basically, you have your starter, and he might rotate and things like that, but they had some interesting catching depth there, but there are a couple of guys I'll mention, called a little teaser, but a couple of guys I'll mention are right up there that one arm in particular and another catcher that I think, kind of if you're at that D2 level and you're looking for some unsigned seniors, could be some guys that could help your program out, both on the mound behind the plate as well. And that's something that we really like doing is, yeah, we go to the games with the big names and we try to find as big of collection as talent as possible. But we're always looking for the unsigned senior that's taking a step, and maybe he's a guy that played behind a really good player last year and just didn't get to have a role on a varsity, and and that sort of thing. But it's always fun to kind of see those guys and that are talented enough to go play baseball somewhere. In addition to, the Lucas Davenports of the world who show up to a first scrimmage throwing 93 miles an hour and the 2024 arm. That's awesome. Top 5 player in the state. But so I'll be mentioning a couple of those guys in our write-up. Probably later this week. Is probably Thursday. I'll hammer out most of that.
Yeah. I mean, you talk about catching depth. I think there were at least 5 catchers that I saw last night. Well, Billings didn't catch while I was there, but I mean, he's known as a big time catching prospect, but it sounds like right now he's number 3. I mean, you got Easton Carmichael's the starter. It was funny. They had the guy that was catching, Carmichael was on base when they ended an inning, and the kid who came in to catch the warmups of the pitcher looked pretty good. And I asked the kids behind the plate, and I was like, "Hey, who's this?" I asked Dane Burns, I think it was. I said, "Who's this kid catching?" Because I knew it wasn't Billings and it wasn't Carmichael. And he said, he's like, his name's Spur. And I was like, Spur? And he's like, I said, is that his real name? And he said, well, that's his last name, and that's what we call him. He said, I actually don't know what his full name is. I was like, okay, but he was good. So there's 3 right there for Prosper. And then the Castillo kid from Coppell didn't catch. I think he had a little hamstring issue that didn't sound like it's very serious, but Walker Polk is the other one at Coppell. So, I mean, like, that's 5 pretty good catchers in a game. But yeah, talent level was great. But yeah, just happy to be back out there at a ball game, a real game, or well, I mean, a scrimmage, but real baseball at least. So
yeah. Hey, to some people on Twitter, they're real games.
Well, hey, the private school games are
the private schools. Yeah, those are counting.
They've started.
Like,
yeah.
I don't know why, but I mean, they're in the season, man. They
start practice. They start practice earlier too. They don't.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I mean, starting practice in January. Oh, like early January. That's got to be. I guess the college programs have to do that too. But man, it just sounds brutal. But yeah, it's been fun getting out this stuff and meeting people and seeing some familiar faces. It's nice when you come off the summer and I remember seeing this guy. And but it's also really exciting to kind of get some looks at both those guys that, maybe those unsigned seniors that are capable of keep playing, and those next up and coming guys at their respective programs. Because high school, man, like, those coaches are in to win. So they're playing the guys that help them win. And I'm not saying all summer programs don't do that. I mean, obviously they want to win too, but it's just a different dynamic. It's just a different competition. It's just in different types of settings and things like that. But I will be at tonight. San Antonio Clark is playing South San Antonio. Anthony Silva, obviously the big headliner name for that Clark team, but it sounds like they've got some guys.
His brother.
Yeah, they've got some guys in the younger classes that have a chance to be really big time players. So I had planned on seeing Lake Travis, but they moved to Tuesday. So I was like, well, is anybody playing on Wednesday? And San Antonio Clark is playing on Wednesday. So I'll be down there checking that out. And then we'll see about Friday. There's a lot of entertaining matchups, but I just don't know who's gonna pitch and where, because so many guys threw on Tuesday.
It sounds like Dallas and Houston are flipped. A lot of the Dallas big pitchers didn't throw Tuesday.
They're throwing Friday.
They're throwing Friday.
Yeah,
and it sounds like it was the opposite in Houston.
Yeah, a lot of Houston and Syntax seems like they're going to throw their top arm on Tuesday. During district play, as they kind of look ahead and start playing in that sort of thing. But yeah, we'll see where I end up on Friday. A lot of good matchups, but got to figure out who's throwing where. But yeah, it's been a whirlwind, but it's been fun to get back out there and getting to seeing guys and things like that. So look for all our coverage. 5-Tool Twitter account has been fired up. I mean, there's already been some great stuff, and the amateur video guys, me and Drew, we're getting better. I actually taught myself how to use iMovie to produce a video that you can upload on Twitter and stuff. And I'm sure Jeff is listening to this, just shaking his head like, I have so much to teach these guys, but we're getting the hang of it, man. Like, I saw you got some good stuff last night. I've got a bunch of stuff on Blake Binder up and some swings from Alex De Leon. And still jotting down some notes and things like that. And, you know,
best moment of the night last night. Nothing spectacular in the game, but I felt pretty good about it. I was sitting with Gary Brown from the Mets, and kid hits a routine ground ball, gets thrown out. Check the watch, 4.69 down the line. Not great, but look over at my guy Gary. He holds up the watch, 4.69. That was
yeah. When you know you've got the watch calibrated, like that's a good feeling. It's a good feeling.
My biggest goal for this like preseason is to get it to where I'm able to do the filming with one hand and get accurate times on the watch with the other hand. Like,
yeah,
that's my goal.
It's going to take some reps. And like, you know, Cypress Ranch, not a very friendly video place. The people are, but the way they do their home plate, you know, it's kind of that elevated thing, and you can't, you know, like you'd have to basically be the guy from Shawshank crawling through the tunnel to get to the to get under home plate. Like it's tough. And
come on, you got to sell out. Like,
yeah, I mean, maybe for a big time district game, but I wasn't quite ready to sell out yet. The radar gun works just fine from the stands. But yeah, it's like getting the stopwatch, and then also with the phone, and then like keeping the phone out of the net, and then maybe you need to like move the phone, and like I'm telling you what, man, our video people are so invaluable and so talented at what they do. You know, they're not holding a stalker gun and a stopwatch, but you know, the work those guys do getting amazing shots and stuff like that is so impressive. But we're getting there. We're putting the 5-tool into 5-tool.
It's a young man's game. It's a young man's game.
Yeah, as evaluators out on the road, you know, doing the video, the writing, and the everything else, and the podcasting. Make sure you get to Podbean or Apple Podcasts or YouTube if you prefer watching these. I got an email from a couple supermodels that say they love tuning in Friday night to see us on
the
YouTube.
Fashion.
So really appreciate that. Yeah, rocking the 5-tool fashion, and they're always curious to see what's going on there. But it's not hard to find the podcast if you want to go find them. But make sure you're following 5-tool on all the social media platforms as we're kind of pumping out content now from a lot of games, man. I feel like there's some really great stuff. I saw Sean Fitzpatrick. You know, we had video from his outing, looked really sharp to begin the year, and Alex Petrovic as well. And those guys, like, I might have to start a poll question at some point. That nickname for that pitching duo at Concordia Lutheran, Fitz Magic and then Petro, like that's strong nickname game for two of your starting pitching arms. For that team, and both those guys threw last night. And Petrovic is a 2023 that excited to get some eyes on, because I think that he's going to throw really hard by the time he throws high school. He's already thrown hard, already get a lot of results as well. So make sure you're following all our social media accounts and to keep up with all the coverage, as we're kind of everywhere. You know, as these scrimmages are ongoing and everybody's gearing up for those first tournaments to wrap up February, and then, you know, tournament season kicks off there and everybody kind of gets into district play. But vote for our poll question: hot dogs or nachos, or write-in vote that's not ridiculous for your preferred ballpark food, whatever that means to you. It could be ease of eating, it could be taste, it could be nostalgia,
soggy chips.
It could be, yeah, it could be whatever you want it to be. So that'll be our poll question of the day. But that'll wrap us up. Episode 43 in the books. We're creeping up on 13,000 downloads. So thanks for tuning in. I don't know when we'll be back again, but it'll be soon. And we'll have more scrimmages to talk about as we kick off the high school season. So thanks for tuning in. And until we talk to y'all next time, take care.